When winter's shadowy fingers first pursue you down the street, and your boots no longer lie above the cold beneath your feet, do you spare a thought for summer, whose passage is complete? It's February, early February, so we're still in winter. But the funny thing is, seasons are set out chronologically. And the reason for that, obviously, is that you've got to break 12 months into 4 blocks of 3 months. So even though the seasons may end and start, that's not what it's like in the real world. Because a lot of it's down to temperatures. And a lot of that's down to things like the Gulf Stream, warm air that blows over the Atlantic. Goes over Scotland, warms it up. That's why we've got places like Inverurie Gardens. Some years it goes higher, which means that we get colder temperatures to the south of the Gulf Stream. It's got to do with wind speeds and directions at different altitudes. It may have something to do with the receding or the building up of an ice age. But as it is, it doesn't happen. It's not January, February, March, because spring only comes in about the 20th of March. But no, it doesn't. I'm beginning to see subtle, tiny differences. Little things like when you're out and it's cold and it's breezy. In winter, when the wind drops, it's still icy cold. But at this time of year, when the wind drops, the temperatures are up a little bit. I've noticed buds, rhododendrons, new leaves coming out on the buddleia. We've got daffodils, narcissi, snowdrops coming through. They may be nipped in the bud. They may be not, depending on what happens next. But it's all chronological. December, it's January, February, March are the winter months. But I feel a difference. Birdsong in a morning. Even now, as we're wandering around the countryside, there's more birdsong, I can hear it. More animals are knocking about. There are more squirrels than there were a month ago. Getting some fabulous sunsets as well. But I think the countryside is getting ready to wake up, and this is my favourite time of the year. Early mornings are tempting now to go for walks. The days are slightly longer. The mornings are slightly lighter earlier. The evenings are slightly, it's all so slight and minuscule. Minutes. But it's coming. We're coming out of winter. It might only be February. But I think that by the end of this month, we're going to see a huge change. I noticed buds out on the hawthorn yesterday as I was going for a walk. I'm waiting for catkins. The old catkins are hanging about, but this year's catkins, I think they're the female ones. I think the male ones it is, I'm not sure, that come out in spring. So they'll probably be the next thing to come out. I hear a woodpecker yesterday. I was just walking Molly and I heard a woodpecker. That's a precursor of spring. It's very still out here, it's very beautiful. There are a lot of people knocking about because it's such a beautiful day, but we always manage to find a quiet spot, don't we, for a little chat. Molly's springing about. She likes this weather. She likes it when it's like cold but not too cold and dry. And she's bouncing around like a good un. It does. It feels like spring. I said I'd do one of these. I'll do another one in a couple of weeks because I do think that things will change again in the next couple of weeks, but there's this little tiny change. There's a tiny change in the temperature. There's a tiny change in the kind of birds and animals that you can see and hear. There's a tiny change in the flora. It smells slightly spring in the morning. It's mostly the sounds, I think, that excite me. This is so fun. Get out in the country. I've said it again, and I will say it again, and until I get through to you all, get out in the countryside, respect the countryside. A wood pigeon, I can hear a wood pigeon. Wood pigeons go coo-coo, coo-coo, whereas a collared dove goes coo-coo, cook. I think. Collared doves are vermin, you know. There was no collared doves in this country till about 1953, and then they were introduced. And in the years since, in the 70 years since then, they've become vermin. I quite like them. Beautiful looking birds. It's very clear again. This is one good thing about the air at this time of the year. I'm looking up towards Rivington and the Pigeon Tower. And it's clear and crisp. And it's quiet. And no, it's quiet. The middle of winter, it's quiet, it's dead. No, it's quiet, but I can hear birds. I can hear crows in the distance. The old archetypal British landscape, countryside sound, is crows in the distance and the distant tolling of a church bell on a Sunday morning. That's archetypally British, I think. That's quite nice. But I can also hear, I can hear blue tits, chaffinches, and other things. We've found a spot where there is no one. The ground is fairly firm. There's no frost. There was a frost this morning, but that's soon gone. It was -1 this morning. It's about 7 or 8 degrees now. See, look at this. Rhododendron. There's thousands of them. We've got a whole bank of rhododendrons here with these big, healthy, fat, juicy buds on them. Spring's coming. Not the chronological spring, the real spring. The spring that affects nature. It's kind of days like this that make you want to walk slowly. You get in the countryside and you see some people striding out like they've got somewhere to go. No, take your time. Look. Not a lot of people do that. You come out and look, but they don't see. There is so much to see. Like these beautiful, beautiful banks of rhododendrons. The silver birch behind it. That's what the catkins will be coming on. Oak. Last year's leaves. Crisp and brown. And the brown leaves are littering. The brown oak leaves littering the ground underneath, in the woodland underneath the trees. And it's now dry, so they rustle under your feet. There you go. Just my little thoughts on the approach of spring, because it's here, it's coming. I tell you, it is coming. Never mind all this winter into March. What you need to do, you need to get out, get your senses attuned to change, to the world round you. And if you go out once a week into the countryside and look around and listen and smell, you'll be able to tell the difference week by week. Don't just bimble from one, it's like experience winter, then experience spring, then experience summer, then experience autumn. It doesn't work like that. These seasons come in very slowly and they peak and then they die out very slowly into the next season. Each one building up and dying back. And if you go out, you can hear streams like that one, bird call like that, and that will get more and more as spring goes on, once the hawthorn starts coming out. Right, love, We're going to continue our walk. Then we're going to go home for a brew. Get out and enjoy it. Be happy. I've got all sorts of adversity going on at the moment. All sorts of things are trying to kick me. But if you think of yourself as a part of this whole, nothing will get you down. Because you know that whatever gets you down, you cannot curl up in a ball and ignore it. Life isn't like that. You have to face it head on. And you will come out of it tomorrow, and all will be fine. And it'll be lovely. And it'll be spring. See you soon. Peace and love.